Let's go through the base performance function. Before we start, let's get a few things out of the way. So the first one would be to make sure that the add-on is installed and activated. In case the subscription ID does not save, use incognito mode of your browser to bypass cache issue. Other than that, for people living in Spanish-speaking countries, they will need to use semicolon instead of comma depending on their local settings. And also make sure that if a parameter supports ranges such as A1 till A100, you should use that instead of doing something like this. And for the next cell, you will be doing C4, then C5, C6. So instead of doing something like that, just use something like this. So I can select C3 till C17, or I can even use asins, so D3 till D17. So I'm going to run this function on the whole list of SKUs. Okay, so now we have results for all the SKUs here. Let's say I only want to get results for these 4 SKUs. I can just do something like this. So let's do C3 till C7. So this is basically how you should be selecting the ranges. Let's go ahead and go through the parameters, or what we call filters, not to confuse with this filter actually. So we call these filters. Seller ID is a filter, period is a filter, filter itself is a filter. So remember that. You can also call it parameter. So the first parameter is seller ID. Seller ID is also always required. So my seller ID is typed in D1, so I can select that. The next one is period. So the period is here in B1. I have selected B1. I can change this to something like, let's say, this month. And now I'm going to get data for this month only. So this is the data for these. Okay, let me take you through why I was using custom after I explain filter parameter. Okay, so the period is done, then it's filter. Again, you can select either SKUs or asins, a list of SKUs or asins, so it's your call. But always, if you have this option to select ranges, always use a range and not a single SKU, as this will exhaust your Google quota, and you won't be able to use our functions for another 24 hours, since that is how Google has it set up. Okay, so after that we have the marketplace here. So my marketplace is in A1. You can either hard code it like this, or you can just use A1. Okay, so the next one is B2B. So here B2B. If you have to find more information regarding it, you can just look here and you will find what it means. So right now, since I do not have anything mentioned here, stated here, so by default it's including the B2B. If I type in exclude, now I won't get the second column of data because I have excluded the B2B data points. So, and now if I type in include, that's default, and that's how I'm going to see that second column of data. Okay, so now you have it. So this is what the B2B parameter does. The data point, again, it's almost similar. So since we have only 2 data points, it's the same thing. We can just remove this and move forward. Then we have the days parameter. Okay, so this is where I'm going to explain the custom period. So if you select custom, now what's going to happen is this now says custom, and you are going to see data for these dates. So these are the start and the end dates. Days is right here. I have selected H1 for the days parameter. So let's say I don't want data for these dates, but I still want to be able to type a start date in I1 and end date in J1 and be able to get the data for those dates. But let's say right now I only want to see like 20 days. So I can just do 20 and it will load data for the last 20 days. So this is the data for the last 20 days. But as soon as I remove this, so you will see the data will change. It's going back to the default setting where it's using I1 and J1. So now you see the data has changed. So you can remember it easily by thinking of it this way. So the first parameter we will look into, the system will look into, is period. If it's any of the predefined periods like last month, this month, last week, this week, then it's going to use that. But if it says custom, then it's going to default to the days parameter if there's any. And if you do not have anything in days parameter like I have, if I delete this, then it's by default it's going to default to the start and end date. So this is how you can use this function. I have explained the syntax, and you can see basically what it does. It gives you the buy box percentage. This data is coming from the business reports from Seller Central.